Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk. Kevin White here of Brownie Fox Publishing. Tonight, our show is about classic car restoration, and we have multiple guests on tonight and waiting for a couple more to show up. But right now, we have Scott Brewer and Melissa. I can't remember, what is it?
Petri.
That's right, Petri. Those are our guests tonight, and let me bring them on real quick. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have you guys go, talk about yourselves for a minute. So, Scott, since you arrived first, could you tell me about your classic experiences and what you're doing now and things that you've done in the past?
Sure. Yeah, I'm 55 years old, and I kind of got into cars probably when I was about 15. My dad didn't know how to work on cars. He didn't even know how to change the oil. And we didn't have a lot of money. And I think the first car that I got was a 72 MGB convertible. And I grew up in Hawaii. I was born and raised there. And if you know anything about Hawaii, we have a rust issue, And so this was in 1980, I got that car, I believe. And it was already a rust bucket. So, within 7 years or 8 years, it had big holes in it. But I didn't really know how to work on cars yet because I didn't have anybody that I grew up with that taught me. So I kind of had to learn myself. And I just went and bought a Chilton's manual for it, and it was leaking water when I got it. And I replaced the water pump, and I remember my dad coming home, and he saw me under the hood, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm changing the water pump." He goes, "You know how to do that?" And I said, "I'm learning," And so that was kind of how I got my feet wet working on cars. And I've had countless. I can't even keep track of. I'm the running joke of like, how many cars do you have now? Like, what do you have now? Because I would constantly sell and then buy something else and fix that up. I think I almost like fixing them up more than I do owning them, because to me that's the challenge, and I like seeing something saved, and I like old stuff. Yeah, so I had a Nova in high school, a 66 Nova. After that, I had a 69 Chevelle. I had a 65 Bug, and numerous Volkswagens, a couple of muscle cars, a Mercury. I've owned a lot of different cars, and I actually, I didn't start painting cars until about 6 years ago. And I would do body work, and I would, rattle can primer, and that would be it. And then I finally, with as much as people charge for these paint jobs these days, I knew I would never have a nice car. Everything was going to be primered. So I got brave enough one day to, spend, $600 on paint, and took a chance, and then I painted the 65 Nova Atomic Orange in my garage, and it came out really, really nice. So then I knew I could do it. And but I've always been, pretty good at like watching videos and working with my hands, and I can figure things out. If I ran into an issue, I can figure it out. So yeah, that's the Nova. That's my first car I painted.
That's beautiful. I like that a lot. That's pretty nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually sold that. And I mean, it was done everything. It had independent front suspension. I redid the entire interior. It was beautiful. It was completely done. I sold that, and I bought my VW crew cab pickup truck. It's a 66. which was a mess when I got it, but it did drive, and the funds of that car barely paid for that Volkswagen.
Oh,
But like
really?
yeah, like I sold that car for 12.5, and I paid $12,000 for my Volkswagen pickup, and it's the one on my Facebook page cover. But it did not look like that when I got it, and I just did a mild thing on that, you know. So it
So
just to
the
give you
pickup,
what's
the
that?
surf, is it the surf truck you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. I made it look
Oh,
like a
that's
yeah,
yes. That's a
yeah.
work
I
of
tried
art
to
right there. I would say.
thank you. I tried to make it look like a vintage shop truck from a surf shop in Hawaii. You know. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah, that's, that is
yeah.
really that's impressive.
Thank you. So yeah. So since I painted that Nova, I probably painted about maybe 5 or 6 cars since then, and
Mhm.
then yeah, my Bug that I have is the last one that I painted. So yeah, I'm
Right,
what's that?
right. Because I remember when you painted that, I thought, well, that level of difficulty is probably 100 for me because it
Yeah.
wouldn't look good if I did it. But I'm going to let's see, let's try to share this one. And there's your bug right there, and did an excellent job on this.
Oh, there you go. Now,
And it's
did
got,
I send you
well,
that
that's the
picture?
roof.
Did you pull that picture off my page?
Yes.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that is that the right
Yeah.
one?
No, yeah, that's the right one. It's just I was going through my computer and cleaning up some files and stuff, and trying to organize my photo folders, and I think I deleted all of my restoration photos of that Bug. So all the body work, the mid paint, and all of that. Yeah, it's a bummer. I'll have to
I
go
think
back
I
and
have
look.
some of those. I'll have to send those to you.
Oh, okay. I
What
tried
you
looking
said.
on my. Yeah, I'm kind of a dummy when it comes to Facebook as far as how it works. So I tried looking for the photos
Right.
because I thought I uploaded them at some point, but I couldn't find much. I haven't. I just did that yesterday, so I haven't really tried. But yeah, so yeah,
So
that's
sounds like you've got a lot of cars. So you've been through a lot, and so you're my expert right here on this kind of subject, especially the paint, because I can't imagine what you did. I don't have the guts to do anything like that. But you know, I'm growing the guts more and more the more I find out how much it costs to actually
that's what
get
did
it
it for
done.
me. You know. Now, I always tell people, because I always say, well, if I could do it, then anybody could do it, you know. And I was always really good with a spray can, so if I wanted to paint something, I could do a good job with a spray can without getting a lot of runs, not a lot of dryness to the paint job. It came out
Right.
shiny and, and uniformed. So if you can do that with a paint can, a spray can, then I think you could do it with an air gun, because I didn't have anybody to show me. I watched YouTube videos, and I tested it out on my glove box door, my ashtray, and a couple of little pieces, and I shot those in my garage, and I says, okay, they came out really good. So I think I could do the car. And it's more forgiving than you imagine, because
Okay.
like, when I was painting it, the Nova, I had a cheap gun, and depending on the angle that you hold the gun, some paint can spill out of the container on the top, because it was a cheap gun, and so I was shooting the roof, I think on my second coat, and as I came over to the edge, paint dripped down. This is the base coat. I did a two-stage, metallic base coat and a clear coat, but base coat spilled down the side of the quarter panel, and I was like, oh no, what? How am I gonna fix this? Like I
Right.
thought I have never dealt with that before, and I actually wiped off the excess with a clean lint free towel, and I just kind of made sure that it wasn't very thick right there, and then I just kind of blended it in over it, and then shot that whole panel again, to kind of make it all uniform. and you could never tell afterwards. So it is forgiving, and and then after that, I've seen other videos of guys that have been professional painters for a long time, and they would have done it the same way. So if you can think on the fly like that and just give it a try, you should try it.
Yeah, I think you're inspiring me to do that because, I've seen how much they could cost, and anything I do is going to look better than what it looks like now. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You can always get it later at a later date.
And the day that you do it, we can do something like this, and I'll talk you through it.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I'm going to bring Melissa Petri on board real quick. And hey, Melissa, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Tell me about your experiences with these cars, or what you're doing.
I grew up under the hood of a vehicle. My mom and my dad both made sure I knew how to work on them, and I have an older brother who actually has a paint shop. So I've gotten lucky in that. When I was a kid, my first vehicle, and I'm talking like 10, 12 years old, my father wasn't able to get in under the engine when he would have to pull it to rebuild it. It was old Chevy Nova, early 70s. It was a sport muscle car, the two-door, canary yellow with the black felt roof. I hated that car.
Yeah.
Back then, that was the poor person's car,
Right.
And now I wish I had it. But so I learned very early how to change oil and work on pretty much anything under the hood. Newer things, not so much. You got computers,
Exactly.
But I have I do what?
Well, I think it's funny because Don and Donna Fiducia are now they're married now. Yes, she says they have like a 71 something. I can't remember what it is, but they said they bought it because it's EMP proof. It's
right.
You can't attack it electronically, and that makes a lot of sense when you have a car that's just a car.
Older the better, less electronics, less bells and whistles. And mine's a 69. It's pumpkin orange, and it's a convertible, completely all original, even the original paint. It has the original tires, and one of them just went flat. And
really?
So we're going to have to replace it. It had been jacked up, so the tires didn't dry rot. So everything you see is from 1969. It's got maybe 30,000 miles on it. It's been garage kept since day one. There's a couple spots that's like rock chips that'll have to be touched up. And I've got to get the chrome back on it, and I'm redoing the inside, which is something I've never done. So this should be a very fun experience. And the engine is all matching numbers as well. And it's a very rare model of the Karmann Ghia because there's a couple hundred, I think, that were brought over to the U.S. and the steering wheel was moved over to the American side of things, but the transmission was left. So our reverse in a manual is actually its first gear, and our first is its reverse. So it shifts completely backwards. And I think they call it like a slapstick or slap shift or something, because there was also no clutch.
Oh, really?
Which makes it even more valuable, because I have a cousin who has a 65 and it has a clutch.
Yeah, I see that. That is that looks like it's in great shape. When you look for classic cars,
inside, it's impeccable. Yeah. Other than the inside, I have to have the seats, the leather's cracked, and the seams have come apart. And so I have to have that done, and that's going to be a pretty penny. The rumble seat in the back, there's a little rust hole there that we're going to have another piece welded back in, and the dash is cracked. Other than that, it's very nice on the inside.
Yeah, those are really nice cars. I really like that color though. I think I've seen green ones and red ones and everything, but I think that looks great.
I had never seen an orange one till this one. This is the only orange one, this shade of orange. And the best way I can describe it is pumpkin orange.
Yes, it's accurate. You have it. That's what it is. So have you? Okay, what are your plans once you get it completed? It's just your pleasure car. You drive Sunday drive only and all that, or
They have. Sorry about that. Motorcycle pulled up beside of me. They have classic car shows every Saturday here in different areas. I'm in West Virginia, southern part of West Virginia, and people bring their cars out, and they've got a club, some kind of classic car club, and I'm going to join it. And they do shows and get trophies and whatnot for them. And I'm hoping to be able to put it in a few exhibitions and drive it.
sounds good. I think I have. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Totally. So I'm going to bring Scott back on, and we'll have some discussions. I have some questions for both of you.
Okay.
So here we go. Welcome back, Scott.
Hey,
So I have. I think I already asked Scott. You've been doing this for a long time, and you said the same thing. You answered the same question, Melissa. You've been doing this just like my dad was. He had a '56 Ford, '57 Ford, and they had all kinds of other cars that he would buy, like these old Furies and everything. So I would see him do this, and this is the reason I did it, because I wanted to do the same thing he did. So I'm kind of following his footsteps. So what is the hardest part of restoring a car? We'll leave the paint out of this one. I'm sorry to consider that. So,
well, does body work count?
yes, it does.
Yeah, that, to me, that's probably the hardest thing to do. As these cars get older, unless you can find something that's rust free, you're going to be cutting and welding. And luckily, now, depending on what kind of car you're working with, like your Mercedes, I'm sure there's not that many sites out there that you can go and order a fender for it, or source a trunk lid for it. You're going to have to get an original piece probably, or am I wrong?
You are correct, 110%.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
anything that I get, whatever I look at for parts, my parts look better than what they're selling for more money. So
yeah, the body on that Mercedes looks great. So I haven't seen it in person, obviously, but it doesn't look like it's rusty or anything.
No, it really isn't. It isn't. It's actually, it's in really good shape.
Sorry. Yeah. So you're lucky, I guess. And like for as far as the Volkswagen and most popular vehicles now, like the Volkswagen scene is awesome for parts. There's a lot of reproduction sheet metal that's made from a couple of different companies. And as far as like the VW buses, those have just skyrocketed in value. And before you'd have to source a panel or a piece from a wrecked one, and hopefully that piece isn't rusty. And now
Right.
there's a company called Gerson's. I think they're in Colombia. I think he was from the United States, but he went down there and he created a factory, and he's pumping out. They call the metal funky green metal, because every time you buy a body panel from him, or a piece, it comes in a green primer.
Mhm.
And so you can distinctly tell his parts, for sale. So we're very lucky that we can, get these parts, and the stamping and everything, they're really well done, So, but yeah, I would say body work is the hardest for me. And headliners, headliners are really difficult to do correctly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's coming up sometime soon down the road, and I'm dreading every minute, because it's the weave lace, or whatever they call it. Typical wind lace.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a cloth, right?
Yeah, but it's got different sections to it. It's got the
Oh, okay.
hangers. Yeah.
Right.
It's going to
Yeah.
be difficulty level 12.
Yeah, I mean it's a German vehicle, so I imagine there's a lot of similarities with on the Volkswagen side.
Yeah, right.
Like on the Bugs, there's a wire that hangs across. There's several of them. I think
Yeah,
the
I think
Carmen
it's
Ghia is the same, although hers is a convertible. But yeah, there's a wire, and then you slip the wire through this little folded piece on the back side, and that kind of holds it up, and then you have to stretch it out. So I've done headliners on a regular Bug, a ragtop Bug. I did the headliner in my Nova, and on a fastback of BW. And so, I mean, if you want it done really nice, I would probably suggest having a shop do it. But
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do.
yeah, but if you don't mind, I mean, you may even get it perfect yourself, But I don't know if they even sell a kit for that car. So if the old one is still, they do.
Yes, the old one is shredded wheat right now. So the thing fell apart, and it was nasty.
Yeah.
It had all kinds of rat droppings and everything. And
Right,
the whole car,
right.
It was nasty.
Yeah, yeah. But
Come to West Virginia. There are tons of VWs for sale.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, they're all over the place.
Wow. Yeah. Well, California is the mecca of Volkswagen. So, we got good weather here. So, I don't know. Do they salt the roads in West Virginia?
Yes, they do.
So
we
you
have
guys
all 4 seasons and a lot of snow.
Yeah. So, that probably killed a lot of Volkswagens, but I think a lot of people ship stuff in from like Arizona, California, Nevada, Colorado, I think is pretty good. I don't think they salt the roads there, but I'm not sure. But I know a lot of people take stuff from over here back east. So like your Ghia is probably in such great shape because you kept a garage for so many years,
It's been in the garage since day one.
Yeah. So, and it probably hasn't seen a lot of salted roads.
It has never seen a salted road.
Oh, that's awesome.
It has no rust other than the one spot underneath the rumble seat, and that is it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just water probably got in there and sat or something,
It could have.
Yeah, yeah.
So Melissa, can you tell me what your the hardest thing you've done on the car, or difficulty level?
Thus far,
Yes.
redoing the carburetor, cleaning it, and getting it all put back together correctly.
Been there, done that. Yes, I had to have a friend of mine.
The car is basically perfect. It was just a matter of I need to change out the fuel line, and I took and had the gas tank actually blasted out and cleaned in case there was anything setting in it, and I'm going to replace that line. And I mean, it runs great. I posted the video to your page earlier.
Yes.
And that's after 20 years, and that was before the carburetor was taken off and cleaned.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
But I grew up with my head under the hood of a vehicle, so I couldn't fix a few things.
Yeah, that carburetor is probably not for you, Scott, but that for me it was like, wow, all these little parts. I took pictures of it, taking it apart, put it back together was a different story. It's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, the Volkswagen ones are fairly simple, but yeah, there's still little things in there that you got to be careful with,
Hey, are they Solexes?
Yeah.
Mine is a Solex PAATI 32.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a different number, but I'm sure it's similar. It's a single barrel.
Yeah, it is, and I'm finding out these Mercedes. I can get parts from Volkswagen for this Mercedes, and that's the go-to thing. It's like the alternate. So I'm starting to see they're the same car almost. German manufacturer.
I'm going to guess it has a Bosch distributor, huh?
It sure does.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder if you could use. It's a 4-cylinder?
Yes, it is. No, it's 6.
6. Oh, okay. So, well, totally different distributor than would be on a Volkswagen, but yeah, made the same.
And my car has like a weed eater mower.
Yeah.
It's very tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. my distributor. It's orange and it's a Bosch, and yeah, it's pretty simple. You know, that's what I like about the older cars. They're just simple.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. So
No.
I think, let's see. The other thing I was going to ask. Let me share the screen with you first. So you're talking about the body. This car is actually from California originally, and then it was moved to Chicago. And the guy I bought it from was from Holland, and then he did a little bit of work on it, but he only drove it 3 miles. So the body's pretty solid. I'm very happy with it.
Are those fog lights on the front? Are they made by Hella? Do you know?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're Hella lights.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Those are popular in the Volkswagen scene. You know, they're worth good money. I'm not sure exactly how much that pair is worth, but you know, everybody's always looking for those big yellow Hella fog lights to put on the front of their bugs or their buses. Yeah. Yeah, they're nice. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought I know this is a big Hella. We use Hella lights on aircraft when I was working in the aviation industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was an aircraft mechanic for 30 years. So a lot of this stuff. So this is easier than working on an airplane. Trust me.
Imagine.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where to begin.
But less, you know, it's more. I don't know. It's less stress because it's not going to fly, right? So that's how I catch things in life. You know, it's not going to fly. It's not going anywhere. Over the side of the road.
What aircraft did you work on?
I worked on A7s, F-16s, and a little bit of C-130s, C-54. No, C-131. That's right. Yeah, that was way back.
My husband was actually one of the engineers who designed the Osprey.
Awesome, pretty awesome. I've seen those. I've seen those in person. Those are pretty nice. Those are awesome.
And he's flown many of various planes and jumped out of a lot of C-130s.
Yeah. The C-130 is a perfectly good aircraft, so that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah. He was now get this, he was a Marine. Now you think Marine, you know, you don't think they're up in the air, but he was actually a Marine fighter pilot, and he taught down in Pensacola as well. So he's got a lot of knowledge on airplanes.
Yeah, I bet.
Cars, not so much.
Okay.
Well, that's what you're for.
That's what I'm doing.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm here for.
So the other thing is, what's the first thing you attack? Like, for example, I did the interior first because I couldn't stand to breathe in there. It was so bad with everything that was in it because it was in the barn for years or whatever. That's what I did first. But I want to know what you do first.
Well, I just took all the interior out, took all the panels and everything off so I can get inside and do any kind of restoration that needs to be done to the metal. And, you know, the body needs nothing. I've got to put the chrome back on it, and basically just took everything out of the inside and then started working on making sure all the lines were good and clear and getting the carb and the gas tank done. So my next adventure is the interior.
So those two things you just mentioned are big deals, right?
Well, getting it running was the biggest deal. But like I said, it hadn't been run in like 20 years, and poured a little gas in the carburetor, it started right up. And that was without doing anything.
Hey,
but it sputtered just a little bit, so I went ahead and took the carburetor off and cleaned it.
Awesome. Yeah, those are big deals. So, hey, it looks like Pete is with us. Hey, you hear us, Pete?
Finally, yeah. Hey, sorry, I was on the flight line.
Oh, okay. Guess what Pete does for a living now? Tell him what you do for a living, Pete.
I work on F-16 fighter jets. That's what I've worked all my life on.
So I wonder how's rebuilding the carburetor on one of those?
Very easy, yeah. Right here we have, I don't know if you can see it, we got some French Mirage.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
they're trying to hire me over there, but I don't want to leave the 16. I don't know if you can see
I know
him.
you don't.
You see him? I don't know.
I just want to fly in an F-16.
Yeah.
You know, it is possible after COVID. If you're a celebrity or personality, it could probably happen. So,
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I know a few people in a few places.
so let me talk about Pete. Pete has done a lot of cars, like Scott has, and he had his own car lot. He at one point, and he was also he worked on what was it, the F-100 for Ross Perot's son in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I worked
As
on
a
a
resort.
T-38 for Ross Perot.
Oh, that's right. That's right. 238.
And
He
I worked
also
on a F-100 for Dean Cutshell.
okay.
And I
And
worked on
Pete's also
F-16s. And I
yes,
worked
that's where I
for a
met
year.
Pete. We have been friends for a long time. Fort Wayne, I was in Toledo at the time, and we used to meet each other at different places like Alpena. So this guy is the best electrician in the world. So I'm glad you're where you belong.
Thank you.
So he's living the dream. He's retired, but he's working civilian. So this is the guy knows a lot about cars. And I want to ask you a question, Pete, before you get too far. Where do you start first on your restores? What do you do?
Well, I restored that Bel Air I showed you.
Yes.
I was trying to find pictures how it looked, and I just gutted it and sanded the body, and just went that way. And then I had a friend work on it. He did all the body work, and then I had the interior done. But yeah, I just started gutting it. And
So
I have
that's the consensus here. So I'm going to bring this. Let's see. We're going to share the screen of this beautiful car you got. There it is.
Nice.
Is that flashing for you guys?
It
Yes.
is.
Okay, there we go. So this is Pete's Bel Air here. I think there's another picture of it. So you used to make me jealous when you drove this on Facebook. And I'm like, wow, that's a nice car. So
What year is that?
and
Early 50s, 53,
54,
54.
and that's a 64 Econoline truck I'm working on next someday.
Those are cool. They're like a VW single cab.
Yeah, and then that truck right there, that'll be my next project. But I'm working in my home is in Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's where I got him. The only thing I brought up here was that Volkswagen, and I worked on Volkswagen. I put on new floor pans in it, and I got the interior done, and I put rims on it, and that's all I do. And I drive it to work every day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then that Bel Air, I drug it from Arizona. That one, I bought it in Arizona, but it was an Indiana car. Get that?
Brought it back home.
I bought that 25 years ago, and that took me about 5 years to get it to where it's at now. It's automatic with power steering. I left everything original. I put the engine and the transmission. They didn't make that many power steerings that year, and that's one of them, automatic with power steering.
I'll bet that thing
Pretty
floats
awesome.
down the highway, huh?
The what?
I'll bet that thing floats down the highway.
Oh, yeah, it's a bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring him. I'm working up here temporarily. I'm not going to stay here. I took this job. I said I'd be here for 6 months, and I'm going in 2 years now. But I'm just here enjoying it. I got a chance to go back and work on F-16s, and I took the advantage of it.
So tell them where you are now. Where are you located now?
I'm in the Holloman Air Force Base. I'm in Alamogordo, New Mexico. It's a mountain town.
And if you look at Pete's Facebook, you see a lot of cars. That's the perfect place. No rest or anything. There's so many places.
I love going scavenge hunting. I've been trying to buy a 49 or a 50 Chevy truck, and they're on people's yards, but they don't want to sell them. Nobody sells nothing.
Come to West Virginia. I can hook you up with an old Chevy right now for about $3,500.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I've got a friend who's got a Jag, a Bel Air, and a Mercedes. $6,000 for all three. And
Wow.
one of the three runs, and I don't know which one it is.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Garage kept.
What year truck is it?
It's a 50-something, I
Oh.
think.
Hey,
If I can find the picture, I'll slap it on Kevin's Facebook page. It's on
Okay.
Marketplace.
Sure,
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's
Yes,
like a mile from my house.
I enjoyed the weekends driving around here looking at all the old cars that are parked everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
You go up to the mountain and some guy might have 10 cars in his yard. They were his uncles, his relatives and this and that, and they're just there. They're just there, you know. The preserved. Every day they're worth more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have 4 on my farm right now that need some
Oh, really?
serious work.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have an old
basically-
MR2.
Basically, the body you're just looking for the body because they don't make them anymore, and the rest you can make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
See,
there's
this is
something
a guy-
that
good
producing
machinist.
some-
So Pete's the guy on his Facebook page the other day had a transmission he was taken apart in his house.
It's still there. It's on my kitchen table.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
know.
you're a single man, huh, Pete?
Sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
but I'm a tomboy, so hey.
That's a question
My,
again, Scott.
It's
My
on my-
basement looks like Lowe's. I got more crap than Lowe's.
Well, get this. My truck transmission went out, and I took it to shops, and they want like $5,000. And me being a gearhead, I'm not gonna. I just decided to take it out myself and put it on the table. I got it all tore apart, and I've assembled it 2 or 3 times. But I keep doubting myself, so I take it back out and put it back together, and I'm learning a lot. That's the first time I ever opened a transmission like that, but it's been fun. I just hope it runs after I put it back together, you know?
Yeah. You didn't
About
need
the
that,
only
like,
transmission
special
work I've
tools?
done was a flywheel.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this is completely tore out. I'll put it on his page. And today I named all the parts. I put a name on it because I have trouble figuring out what's what. And I'm learning that. So, yeah, it's fun.
So Scott asked you a question. What was that, Scott?
Oh, I was saying, yeah, for the transmission that you're working on, you didn't need like special tools that you had. Did you have to source like special tools or anything?
Yes, I've made most of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most of them you can get online and figure out what they are and then make them. And then it's because they're expensive. I was trying to buy one tool and they wanted $200 for it. I don't even think I got $5 in it. A certain spring compressor, but yeah, I just kind of tinker around with it.
I like that.
If I can't afford it, I figure out another way if I have to make it.
Yeah, I can afford it, but I don't want to pay like, you know, they wanted $5,000 to do my transmission nowadays. That's what I went to 3 shops and I said, forget it, I'll do it myself. I don't even think I got $800 in parts already and tools. But yeah. But
what kind of transmission is that? What is it out of?
It's a 4R75E. It's for a 2012 Ford F-150.
Oh, okay.
And the overdrive drum busted in 2. I don't know why. It just right where it's welded together, just come loose.
Oh.
It's where the clutches are. I took it apart, all my clutches, and I couldn't find nothing wrong with it. I never been in it, so I didn't know the drum was bad until I kind of cut myself with my finger with razor sharp areas. Then I realized that it twisted off.
Oh.
Clean cut. Yeah.
Yeah. I know transmissions scare me because I know some of these newer ones, they're getting even more crazy because they've got like bands and you know, like it's just it's like alien technology to me.
There you go. It is.
Right,
right.
right.
But I'm learning. That's why I said I got it apart, and I bought a book and I put it together and I take it apart 2 or 3 times already. Maybe tomorrow will be the final. Oh, and then I ruined the seal, so I'm waiting on the seal now. After that, I'll be the final assembly. I've already assembled it 2 or 3 times.
So you're an expert now.
I'm getting there. Hopefully it runs. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I want to introduce Ed, Farm Dog Ed, who joined here.
Hey, Ed.
He used to be my director of engineering and reliability and programs for PSA Airlines. So I know, Ed, you've done a lot of cars. Could you give me a little history on that? Tell us what you've been into.
Well, it's interesting. Scott mentioned a '66 Nova. That was my first car also, and it was a great car to learn on, really. Next, I jumped into a '70 Fastback with 351 Cleveland, Hurst 4-speed, great car. And then it just kind of evolved. '71 Grand Prix, '46 Chevy Stylemaster, '40 Olds 2-door sedan. I just had a myriad of cars like that from everywhere from the '40s all the way through the '70s. And I think one thing both of you mentioned earlier that's very important, if you're going to go out and search for a car, look for one as rust-free as you can find for the model that you're looking for. It takes so much time, money, sweat, blood, and tears to rusted. Even frames, panels, you name it, rusted. And that's my find one as rusted. Start. Scott, where do you live in?
I live in Palmdale, California, in the high desert, about an hour north of Los Angeles.
Sure. So you've been to Pomona Swap Meet, right?
Yep, I have.
Anybody that ever has a chance and they're out in that area, swap meet, you need to get there very early. If it starts early and it ends by about noon, but you'll have an amazing collection of cars, parts, pieces, memorabilia. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, it's like Disneyland for a car guy or girl.
Hey now. Hey, I've got a friend out here who's runs coal mines, and he has several warehouse-size hangars at the local airport. He's got hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of vehicles stored, and he restores them, and then they just sit there in his showroom. That's it. I told him, I said, hey man, it doesn't do you any good to restore these if they're just going to sit here. He said, the keys are in every one of them. Take whatever you want. And he has, he's a big Ford guy. I mean, he's got Corvettes and things like that, and old model, he's got Model Ts. He's got probably every year since the day they were made of the Ford Mustang. And Broncos. He's huge into Broncos. And he has a huge showroom, and he changes the vehicles out every couple of months.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I generally store my RV there in one of his warehouses for the winter, and it's just like, dude, I want to drive that, and he's like, keys are in it, go for it. Or that one, we're repairing the engine, but you can have it next week or whatever, It's kind of cool.
So, Ed, did you hear our conversations before you came on? What we were talking about?
Yeah, I heard everything. Yes.
Okay, good.
You quizzed about where to start on a car. You asked everybody about where to start, and that was pretty interesting.
Yes.
I think it really depends on the car itself. Like you said, your Mercedes smelled like a rat-infested.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right. You couldn't sit in it. It was that bad.
Yeah. So it makes sense. I mean, if the engine's shot on the car you're working on, start. I usually say start with the worst, hardest part to start with, and get that under your belt and get it done, and then go on from there. Like you said, Pete is an amazing electrician. That to me, I hate it. I just never feel comfortable doing it correctly. And hats off to Pete to be able to manage it well, because that's an art.
Yeah, you're right. He's the avionics guy. He's got an AMP as well, and he worked for SkyWest for a while before he wised up. So
yeah, F-16s are a lot better. I enjoyed better fighters.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I work for
So,
Scott Webb.
Ed, I
I
want to
need
know what.
satisfaction.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be restoring that Econoline. I'm gonna run to Indiana and pick it up and bring it to New Mexico while I'm here working, and you'll be seeing pictures of that.
Okay, great. You guys ought to get together. I can see the others Facebook, or you can have you got it in the message already, but you guys are awesome, all of you. So I wanted to ask Ed what the hardest thing is for him working in it. Sounds like it might be electrical, right?
Yes, yeah. Especially the newer, like you guys said, the newer car that you get, the more nightmare it is. I mean, it just infinitely more time consuming and maddening when you get into a problem, especially if it's a little nick somewhere and a wire shielding and you got to chase it down. The newer the car, the worse it is. You're right.
So yeah, that requires. I know how it is. I went to school. Pete and I went to the same tech school, and you know they teach you all that stuff and all those years of experience. It's easy for us, but there are other things I don't touch. I can't deal with. So everybody has their own strength in this, and that's when you rely on your friends or your buddies or whatever to help you get through it. Just like we were talking about the carburetors and the gas tanks. I learned a lot. The fuel tank turned into a nightmare pretty quick when I did it, but I got through it. So I also, how many cars have you had have you done?
I counted them up
Oh.
once for our manager training, Joe Lindsay. Remember when he was there? And we were on night shift somewhere, and they had a big grease board, and I started writing them all down. I think I was up to 45 or 50 by the time we stopped. But
That's incredible.
you know, and my wife, I think she's had maybe 10 in her whole life. She just doesn't understand that. But she does have a nice 2010 Corvette Grand Sport in Jetstream blue. But she's a car gal, but not to the extent I think that we have endeavored in our passion. But
Right. Yeah, and I think Scott, you've had a lot of cars as well.
yeah,
And so has Pete, I'm sure.
yeah. Yeah, I'd have to sit down and really think about it, but you know, you can't keep them
Think
all.
about it. If you have to think about it and write it down, then you've had, your fair share of them. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've had several, but I never really did much in the restoration other than maybe paint. It was mostly mechanical work or
Right.
rust.
Exactly. I admire the guys like Scott, Ed, and Pete who can do everything. I think that's amazing talent you got there. Because all of us can specialize, but not everybody can do everything well. And Ed, I'm sure you're there except for the electrical. You know exactly, because I was on my grinding on the floor. You're like, hey, you're doing it right. It's like that's a good sign for me. I appreciated the feedback. So, and
The older the model, the less the wiring headache.
So yeah, I can do the wiring real quick. It's just the other stuff I have to learn. YouTube is the best teacher, I believe, for me at least. So I don't know if you guys use that as well. So on painting, you guys, I know Scott, you've done a lot of painting. Ed, Pete, and Melissa, have you done it? Have you gotten into that part of it, or do you just take it somewhere?
oh yeah,
The painting,
I've
done a little. But like I said, I have a brother who has a shop and he does it. He used to do it for a living, so I know a little.
Okay.
And my son does it too.
Okay. Ed, what do you got?
Well,
Do any
yeah,
painting?
with you. I've done it. And Pete, that photo of that silver Volkswagen was pretty impressive because silver is one of the hardest paints to apply correctly. It can just do some funky things with you, and it can come out looking splotched. It can come out looking like it's not all one continuous flow of color. It can come out in like streaks. So hats off to you doing that one in silver or whatever that color
Oh,
was.
thank you. Yeah, it's actually an original color from Volkswagen in '59. It's called Diamond Gray. It's hard to tell in the photos, and it's not a perfect match. Like the interior in that car is all original, the headliner, the seats, everything. But there's like a tinge of green at certain angles on that car, and it looks more silver in the photos. But I mean, it is a metallic silver, but or gray, I guess. But yeah, you gotta, you can't lay it on too heavy. You can't lay it on too light, and you have to be consistent, like you said. Otherwise, you'll get blotchiness, And I just attributed that to YouTube videos, and knowing, and I got a good hand and eye, but yeah, like you said, Kevin, I just watch YouTube.
That's beautiful. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about using that color that you have on your VW on the Mercedes. I got to keep it simple right now. I think it's beautiful color. I was thinking like a blue silver kind of thing, maybe, or a blue gray or whatever. Something that looks. I'm going to get it closer to the original color, I believe. And make
It was
really
it was a two-tone though, right?
No, I was thinking about doing the two-tone, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that right now because it wouldn't look right in the front. The picture that I showed you earlier, that's just primer, 2 different color primers. So I'm going to make it a little more original,
Yeah.
like a glossy or gray blue or something.
Kevin, when you found that Mercedes, it wasn't a runner, right? You got it running.
Oh yeah, it was running. It ran weak. It didn't have enough power because one of the lines was broken from the carburetor for the power advance or something like that, and it could barely get into gear. I had to do a lot of work with the transmission spring and everything underneath it. I had to jack it up and get in there, and now I can actually feel the gears. So I've done a lot of work to get it. It drives great.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded good going down the road,
Yeah, got a long way to go, but I'm getting there. I've got another next year. I'll probably actually pull the engine out. I don't have the facilities right now. I have a friend who does that. I'll take it over to Ed's house. Please drive that far. So right now, to start it. So that's a good question. To start it at this point, I have to put in that starter fluid kind of thing, the spray pan. That's the only way I can get it started right now. And it'll run. It'll start like the next time I try to start it, like an hour or two later. But the initial start, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Carburetor, because we had to do that when I bought it. So I'm not. So I have to look into that. I'll be talking to you.
You didn't rebuild that carburetor?
Yes, sure did.
Oh, you did. Okay. And you can see fuel squirting down in there in the throttle body or in the throttle.
Yeah, I can't. But something's not right about it, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's a problem. I know other people have had the same problem on that model car, and I belong to this forum group. Which, by the way, those Mercedes forum people are the most snobby people in the world. A lot of Europeans in there, like 5 or 6 of these Mercedes. They got 2-seater, the coupe, whatever, and they're paying outrageous money for everything. So I'm rebuilding everything.
It's probably like a Porsche group, huh?
Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun actually. I have a lot of friends who know a lot of things that help, so that works out for me. Just like Scott, you and Ed, I can ask Ed questions, and Pete, Melissa, you all can join in and say, hey, you guys ask me questions. Somebody asked me what kind of gas is going on. So it takes 89, but I had to figure that out. I had to go research everything. So now everything's straightforward.
Yeah.
So what is your latest projects, everybody, you're working on? The ones that we already saw probably. I don't know what Ed's done lately, or I know what you've done, Scott, but just a little one-liner, and whatever, you're working on right now.
So the last one I had was 67 Chevy C. that he restored and modified. It was a rust-free Oklahoma vehicle, and the paint had faded really. It was that Chevy orange from the 60s, and paint had faded on it. He rebuilt the engine, transmission, electrical, pretty much the front end to make it really nice and drivable. The paint, though, we decided not to repaint. He wanted to leave it original because it's only original once. So I went up and helped him put the finishing touches on it, and he sold it just a few weeks ago here in Ohio to a car dealer from Illinois who bought it for his father because his father had one of these back in the day. So that was the latest one I got my hands on, and it was a lot of fun. We got it looking as good as we could for a 1967 Chevy that's never been repainted. But pretty amazing to find one of these rust-free. I mean, even the cab corners were good on it. Firewall, the floors were still good on it. It was really amazing. It just set out in Oklahoma and just basically baked, but never rusted. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, that original paint is really popular in the Volkswagen scene. You know, I mean, guys die to find an original painted Volkswagen, because like what you just said, right? It's only that once, and I don't know if that's caught on into the Chevys or Ford scene. I mean, I can see you appreciate it with the truck. I kind of do too, you know. The fact it's amazing that it lasted that long, you know. But people will buff those things out and run it just like that in the Volkswagen world, and they'll pay top dollar for it.
Yeah, Scott, that's basically what we did. We used some polishing compounds on it, some different varying grades. Got a little finer each time, and just made it as smooth as that old paint would come out. And it turned out really good. The guy was happy with it that bought it. So.
Yeah. They call that patina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from everybody. So yeah, I heard that word over and over again. So
Yeah.
check it out. And yeah, thanks for giving me the courage to even think about painting my own car. But I still don't have the facilities for it. My garage, I have a 2-car garage, but I'm sure you've done yours in a 2-car garage.
Yeah, I can barely fit 2 cars in there too.
Plastic
So.
off the rest of your house or everything in that garage. If you're going to paint it in there, you got to seal everything. Otherwise, you're going to get the paint. It'll go through. You'll smell it everywhere. It's
Okay.
I mean, if that Mercedes, if the paint isn't really bad, it depends on your goal for the car. But if you can just buff it out and get it looking good, because the prep work is so long, and that's where you really need to spend your time on a repaint. Is the prep work is priority number one.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the metal comes off, or the chrome comes off really easy on this car. It's so easy to put back on. It just snaps on and snaps off. So yeah, I have one side off, and I've been polishing the other side. I can pull those off, and once I sit at the paint, that I don't have to worry about. It's just the chrome that goes around the windows in the back and around the sides of the front. It's just ridiculous. It's a lot. But plus you have the little vent windows and everything. So you'd have to actually tape all those, because they don't come off very easy. You know, all the other stuff, they're just bolted on. All the emblems are just really easy to get to. But I see there's a lot of logistics involved in that, just getting that ready. I hear what you're saying. It looks like the last guy painted over top of some of that. And I had to take that steel wool the other day, and I had to get that stuff off of there, make it look good. So to clean it off, to make it actually shine instead of show the paint. So I think I'm going to say this car was ghettofied. I mean, there's a lot of bolts are missing on the fender. Put a new fender in, didn't hook anything up, and so I had to go get the wire diagrams and everything and figure out how to put this thing together. But it's been fun. It's a beautiful thing, and so I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. I'm sure you guys do too. That's why you do it.
Yeah.
So
how does it? I've never ridden in one of those old Mercedes like that. Is the ride pretty nice on it?
The ride is very nice. Yes.
Yeah.
I put some 14s on it. I upgraded them a little bit. It's a good ride. I haven't been on the freeway yet, but I've been around the neighborhood, and it drives great. It's just, the only thing is getting used to the shift sequence of the four on the tree. So, and then the reverse is completely, nothing you would think it would be. So
Right.
I actually watch YouTube videos. How do you shift this thing? How do you do this?
I'd never heard of 4 on the tree, but 3 on the tree is very common here.
Yeah. I'm sure Ed's had one of those before.
Yeah, 3 on the tree, never 4 though, Kevin.
Oh, really?
I'd never heard of 4 either.
4
Yeah.
No.
So
never.
yeah, it's up, down, second, third, and then fourth is straight down from third. The reverse is you pull it toward you and then go up. Sometimes you don't think you're there, so you're like, okay, where am I here? You got to actually feel for it sometimes, but it's solid versus when I first got it, where you couldn't tell if you're in first gear or not, because the guy kept slipping out because of the way that they redid the that spring on the transmission. The transmission is totally no hydraulics; it's totally mechanical. So it's pretty interesting.
It'll be very interesting for me to learn how to drive that Ghia backwards.
Yeah,
I'm used to a 5-speed and a clutch, and a 3-speed backwards and no clutch. This is going to be fun.
Especially in West Virginia, you got all those hills there.
I'm in the southern end of West Virginia. It's not too bad.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't allowed to get my driver's license till I could learn to drive a stick. So I've been driving one since I was probably about 10.
Wow.
I used to drive the hay truck. I would stand up, and it was like a 72 maybe F-150, 2-wheel drive, no power steering.
Yeah.
The 10-year-old girl had to practically stand on that steering wheel to turn it.
I hung on that steering wheel to turn it. Yes.
So speaking of
And it
power
was only a
steering,
4-speed.
so tell me about this power steering nightmare. Did you get anybody have? Since you're dealing with older cars, a lot of those cars don't have power steering. One time I drove a 60-something Rambler. I thought I was going to buy, but I could not steer the thing through the neighborhood. It was really. That's why the wheels are so big. It took me a while to get that. I was like, this is weird. So
You
As
gotta
long
be
as you're
moving.
moving,
Yeah.
the more you're moving, the easier it turns.
yeah, well, yeah, this is like outside of a cemetery and outside of one of the minor league stadiums in Columbus. It's not a good neighborhood or anything, but I decided not to buy it. So, and at the time, that was like 1985 or something. So, Scott, you have any really bad power steering? Because right now my car has no power on it, but I can't even tell.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I'm used to it with a Volkswagen, but like I have smaller tires on the front of my Bug, and so it makes it easier to turn,
Okay.
The only thing you made me think, because so I used to have a 1960 Shorty VW bus. You guys know what that is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So so somebody chopped out a section in the middle of it and put it back together.
Mhm.
And I actually found this thing. I need a girl that I knew locally in the area. Her grandfather put this thing together, and he did a great job on it. She actually asked me if she was advertising on Facebook if somebody wanted to buy a Porsche 914, and I wanted one at the time. And so I said, "Oh, I'll come take a look at it," And I think she only wanted like $400 for it. So I went over there. But this thing was in the dirt. There was grass growing through the floorboards. He had taken a chop saw and took the rear valance, I guess you would call it, that goes behind the seat. It's almost like the roll bar portion. He had cut that off and used it for something. But so she said, "Oh, I also have this VW bus in the garage." So I walked over there and looked at it, and it was this thing that he had built Now, and he was ill at the time, battling cancer. And so he had stopped working on it, but he had been building this thing for a long time. And I think he worked in aerospace because a lot of the paneling on there was done with like aircraft rivets, you know? So
Okay.
like where he welded the seam, that where it was shortened, he had paneled over it, and it had this great, early 80s paint job on it. It was like maroon with those like different colored stripes, going over it and stuff. I should have showed you a picture of that. It might be on my page somewhere, but so you can imagine driving the steering on that thing, because I actually drove this thing from Palmdale to Mojave to work on the freeway, and that was terrifying because I realized, like, as I'm on freeway speeds, that if anything were to happen in front of me and I tried to swerve out of the way, it would just be a bowling ball, like there's no way that I could turn in a circle, like a really, really tight circle with that thing. But at speed, I mean, I could do wheelies in it. It had no weight on the front. And if I just popped the clutch, the wheels would come off the ground in 2 or 3 feet. But yeah,
Right.
so you want to talk about scary steering? It was that car. And I sold it after that because I said, I can't enjoy this thing safely,
Yeah, I'll ask Ed the same question. But I remember when I worked at Enterprise rental car in the wintertime, that's why they got rid of the rear steering cars, because they're dangerous, even the modern ones. But I know Ed's a pro. So what do you think? Actually, Ed used to race cars.
Yeah. I had one of my race cars puked all the power steering fluid right in the paddock at a race event one time. So I just, you kind of do what you have to do. You adapt and overcome. There was no way to rebuild it there at the time. So I bought up every quart of power steering fluid I could find in the area and just kept pouring it in. And it held for the race weekend, and had to completely rebuild the whole power steering box, basically. But yeah, like the 46 Chevy I had, like you were saying, had a huge steering wheel on it, because obviously back then it didn't have power steering. And like she said, it gets a little easier as you're moving. Just stationary, it's really tough to try to horse something around without power steering.
I have a side by side right now that carries 4 people, and it does not have power steering. And you get out on trails, and as long as you're moving, you can steer, but you stop and you're hanging off the steering wheel.
So imagine what things were like back then. I mean, were there accidents all the time, or were there the cause of accidents, or
people were just
people
tougher.
didn't drive as fast, and we didn't even have seat belts when I was a kid. They were
right?
cut out of our vehicles. You just bounced around the back,
Rumble
Back
seat.
then you could haul the kids around in the back of the pickup truck.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, I've done it with the cattle gates and been standing up and waving going down the road.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't know how I survived, but I did.
Yeah, I don't know how we all survived. We go down the hills and
Drank from that water hose too, man.
Yeah.
Played in that mud, hey.
Yep.
So Ed
You
and
got hurt, you didn't go to the ER. You should brush it off and keep on going. You died? Nope. You're good.
right. You're not dead. You're good.
That's how I raised both my kids. And I've got a 28-year-old son and a 14-year-old daughter.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a good age. I hope you're having better luck with your 14-year-old daughter, because that's 13 that
my
you're bad.
14-year-old daughter is absolutely brilliant. She's an honor roll student. She's in the National
Awesome.
Honor Society. She's smart as a whip. And she goes with me, and she is a Civil War reenactor. And
Yeah, that's right.
she
Melissa does
helps,
that inside.
Yeah, I do it with James. We're on the same battery with each other. So my daughter's been doing it for many years. So yeah, I try to raise them right.
Mm-hmm. So anybody have any thing to say, or any parting advice or anything? Or I don't want to keep you guys too
Well,
long.
I could use a little bit of advice from the painter of the group. My pumpkin orange, as I like to call it, basically the same color as my shirt right now. It has a few rock spots on it. I mean, they're tiny, tiny spots. Do I just paint those tiny, tiny spots, or do I sand it off a little bit, smooth it out, and go over it and then clear coat it?
I wouldn't even touch it. I would
Really?
just polish it and leave it the way it is.
It's
that-
to the
that-
metal. A couple of those rock chips are to the metal, and I
Yeah,
do
well-
not want it to rust.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you could clean it out as well as you could get some automotive grade single stage paint. You can go to a
Right.
paint shop and
Like
you
the
can
paint
get it.
pens
Yeah.
that they make
you
for
know, and-
vehicles now.
and just touch it up with a toothpick or something and fill that little chipped area, and then
Yeah,
once
it doesn't have
dries,
many.
yeah, and then if you really wanted to get picky with it, or I was gonna say,
Dude, I am so anal with when I get to doing something like that. It's not even funny.
yeah, and then then you just wet sand it to basically level it out as the same level as the rest of your paint, and maybe start off with like 1,000, 50, then go to maybe 1,500, 2,500, and then just buff it out, and
Right.
but I would never paint that car for sure.
Yeah, it's all original. I mean, matching numbers, the works. There's other than me going to change the gas line, it even has the same tires on it as the day it come out of the showroom.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
But like I said, one of the tires went flat on me. I moved it from my house garage into storage so I could redo the garage. And a couple days later, the tire was flat. So I don't know if it's just had a slow leak or if we ran over something along the way. I didn't drive it out there. I rolled it up on a trailer, and then rolled it back off when I got there. So I don't know if it's just caught something up in it just enough, or if it's dry rotted because it's been jacked up even with the wheels off the ground.
Yeah, probably just dry rotted.
And
this-
you don't really see it though, but
Yeah.
it might be, in the tread itself. But I'm
Yeah.
going to see if I can take it off and go get it plugged, or if I can get it plugged. But I won't, if I put it on the road, it's going to have different tires on it. But
Yeah.
I'll keep the originals just because it's all original, and that makes it worth a lot more money.
Yeah, yeah.
I got people wanting that car left and right. They bug me constantly,
Yeah,
and I'm not getting rid of it.
I don't blame you.
I mean, there's I think someone had told me that is into the Volkswagens and the Gias, said that there were only 200 of that specific type.
Yeah, I'm not the Gia expert. That's the one Volkswagen I've never owned, but I do want one day.
You guys are breaking up on me now.
Make her an offer.
Yeah.
Great. Got anything, Scott? Ed?
I would say, I mean, for myself, it's like I'm not a rich guy, so I can't really afford to pay for somebody to paint my vehicle, or they want 10 grand for a decent paint job nowadays, and that's not even if you're going to do a ton of body work, so I say, try it yourself, the one thing in this day and age is, YouTube. I mean, you can learn so much on YouTube,
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
When we were younger, we didn't have that. You'd have to go and find a book,
Do
So-
you know how many filing cabinets I have with VW magazines in it?
Oh, yeah. I've still got
I
some of my
could
old
load the bed of a pickup
VW.
truck
Yeah,
with it,
yeah.
and I
Yeah, those
just
old-
cannot make myself get rid of it.
Now, and those old Volkswagen magazines had a lot of tech articles in there too. So-
Yes, that's why I still have them, because
Yeah.
they've got ways to fix things.
But
Right,
yeah,
the Mercedes those manuals and everything are expensive. They want a lot of money for those. These are rare.
What you do is you find you an old hoarder who dies, and then you get to go in and then you find all of these things.
Mhm.
Hey, I've done it. It can be done.
You know, Kevin, I would go online because
Oh,
you'd be surprised what you could find out there. It might be on a PDF file that you could just
I
download.
I have the PDF, yeah, but the
Oh.
original manuals are not available, or they are if you want to pay money.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So-
There's always somewhere, some place to find those sorts of things
Yeah.
out there.
Well, that's true because some things come available that I didn't see the week before or whatever, and I'm discovering new places that have stuff that I can use and
Try
catalogs.
different browsers.
Right. So Ed, what do you have to say? You got anything?
Oh, I agree totally. Don't repaint that Gia. Do the rock chips like you said. If there's no rust structural wise, leave it as is as much as you can. I agree with Scott. Just touch it up. It looks fine from the photos that you showed. The Gia looks good. I did make one suggestion on that Gia. Make sure you have very good taillight bulbs in that car. I don't know if you've ever followed one in the night, but they are so hard to see. They're very small lights in that car, and just for your own safety and the safety of that nice Gia, make sure you got.
Well, I actually have to find a light cover because somehow, some way in storage, it has gotten busted. The tail light cover. So I'm going to have to find one of those. But I have the piece, so I could probably kind of glue it back in there.
Yeah. Melissa, I hate to interrupt, but Melissa, have you heard of the Samba.com?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, look it up. It's the largest Volkswagen page in the world. And
Oh, wow.
they have a classified section on there that anything you need, Volkswagen wise, you'll find it for sale.
Okay, the Samba.
It's worldwide. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you'll find that tail light there. I mean, every show I go to on here, I see them for sale. So you could probably pick up that tail light for 68 for $20 for a good used original one, So.
I've seen a few on eBay, but I'm a little squirmish about buying car parts off of eBay.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Samba, you're going to be dealing directly with a private individual too, where you're going to have to PayPal them money but they have like a rating system on there, and a lot of people are on there all the time, and I've never had a problem buying stuff like that. So you
I'll
just
have
got
to check them out.
Yeah, you just have to shop around because people also on there think they have gold and everything too. So.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you come up with a vehicle like that, they automatically think, okay, you've got some money. Well, no, I really don't.
Yeah.
This is why I'm trying to do as much of it as I can without having to have somebody else. But it's looking more and more like somebody else is going to have to do the seats because I just don't have the knowledge to go in there and repad everything. The leather is torn, but technically, I guess it could be repaired. I thought about just finding a couple new seats and putting them in there and just keeping the ones without repairing them all original. Just toss them in storage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they there's a company called TMI. Have you heard of them?
No.
Okay. So TMI makes kits for I think all the Volkswagen. I'm sure they make it for your Gia, and
A lot of the Volkswagen parts will fit a Gia.
Yeah. Well, they'll make the seat covers for you, so you can actually take the seat apart. I've done it on Fastback and Bugs and everything,
Right.
and they're very easy to do. They sell the padding, everything, so you could rebuild those seats and make them look factory original yourself.
I probably could.
Yeah, and they're
Nice minor
online,
project.
there's videos. You could do it. That's the way I would go instead
Thanks for
of
advice, Ed.
paying a shop.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think, Kevin, my final word is you mentioned forums, and I think they have a really good place, and there are people on these forums that really know what they're talking about. It's like anything else on the internet. You got to just weed out the ones that like you said, were not helpful, but there's so many people out there that are really helpful. I've been on several different ones, and yeah, just like anything else, you just got to take the good and the bad and figure it out from there. But there's a lot of people out there very knowledgeable that are really able and willing to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, most of the people that have these cars are Europeans, and they sell them in Mexico, Australia, they're all over the world. Most of them are in Europe, so don't see too many in the U.S. There's a lot here, but all the experts are over there. People have had them for years, and they're the ones who they translate. You have to kind of translate. I mean, you know what they're saying, but they don't really speak English the right way or write it down. But the people they I'm like, look, the guy can speak your language. You can't speak his, kind of thing. So I respect those guys and all their snobbiness, because they know what they're talking about. I have to throw that away, right? That doesn't matter. So I gain a lot from, even there's not that many on YouTube videos, but the forums are where everything is, the ID that I put together, and that's right. You can download forms and things like that, and diagrams and everything. So I'm very happy with. I think I picked the right car. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I think I did well on this one, based on what I wanted. I wanted something classic, something back in the 50s. I was looking for what is it? 1960. I love the 60 GM cars, but most of them are like rust buckets, so I didn't buy one. It's hard to find one that's pretty solid. That I couldn't believe how solid this car was, this Mercedes. And there's some rust buckets out there, but I really enjoyed the fact that I got a really good deal on it because the guy didn't want to take it back to Europe. So he had two of them, two identical ones that he was selling for really cheap. So I had to jump on that. I didn't have another garage to put it in, so I didn't buy the second one.
Hey, you know, you can get one of those portable outside garage, like carports that is made out of like canvas for like less than $100. You can do all your painting and working, and they zip up. I went and bought one just so I could have the gear outside in the driveway to do work on it and have natural light versus being in my shop.
Yeah, my insurance company said no to that. I have to keep it in the garage.
No, you just take it, you know, you put the thing, it's portable. You put it up,
Yeah.
in about an hour, you do your work, you take it back down.
Well, yeah, I couldn't keep it there because that was my plan to put it somewhere else, but that's not going to happen. So I don't get to park inside the garage this winter. Well, it's no big deal. We don't have winter in Ohio anymore anyway. Right, Ed?
I see.
So I thank you guys for coming on this program. I appreciate. I learned a lot. You guys are like super experts, and it's pretty awesome. Just like
I'm
Pete.
learning.
Pete left early. Like, you know, he's got a transmission on his kitchen table. Okay, I gotta respect a guy like that. He really does.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the driveway making my kid carry in groceries.
Okay. So, and Scott, I've seen your stuff, and Ed's got like amazing. His newest car is, you know, really amazing. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but it's.
Well, I went German also.
Yeah. Huh?
I went German also. We have a BMW i8, and it's amazing. It's the complete opposite of a 50s and 60s car. It's got more computers in it than you can ever shake a stick at. And it's fun though. It's a hybrid, so that makes my youngest son very happy because he is a green tree hugging guy, and I respect him for that. But this has two electric engines and a gas engine in it, so it's pretty fun. But yeah, as far as doing any wrenching on that, I don't even want to think about it because even the brakes, every time you hit the brakes, it's regenerative braking to charge the batteries for the car.
I'll just stick with the old stuff. Thank you very much.
I agree with you as far as wrench on yourself. Yeah, because this thing is way more complicated than anything should be, but it does have a cool factor. So, and it's fun. It's a fun car to drive.
Yeah, that is. I was blown away. Have you guys seen that car? You know what he's talking about?
It looks like someone's
I've heard about them, but I know I haven't seen it.
I'll let you guys go. I appreciate everybody's time here. I think it was a great show, and let's see.
Well, Kevin, it's been fun watching you restore that Mercedes. You've been doing a great job on it. It's a lot of fun to watch your process and progress.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed every minute, and I couldn't do it without help of friends and YouTube and all the instructions I find somewhere else. So I'm going to share the screen real quick, just so you can look at this. Let's see. I'm working this as I go, by the way. So this is. I see it yet? This is it right here.
Oh, wow.
That is an amazing car. That is. So.
Sweet.
But you know, that's first class all the way. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And what's that?
It's my fun used car. It's just an old used car.
Oh,
Not that old.
We'll have to do this again.
I don't
I had a
think
good
so.
time.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do this again. And I appreciate everybody's time and everything. And you guys have a great evening. And maybe we'll do this another time, like Melissa says, and we'll have a little more material and progress on what we're working on right now.
Okay.
So get that thing fixed.
Works for me.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
You
Thank
guys
you.
have a great night.
And I can't help but laugh when I see Farm Dog Ed on there. So
I love
you
it.
guys take care.
All right. See you.
Take care.
All right, take care.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. So anyway, this is, let's see, we're gonna put this here. I'd like to say thanks everybody for watching, for tuning in. And if you ever have a question about anything you want to talk about, just remember, let's talk. Right, Brownie Fox Publishing, we appreciate you as an audience and the things that we do here to find out what other people are like and what they do, occupations. We're going to do this every week. As you can see, I got my green screen in the background. And I put the garage theme in today, and it all comes down to smoke and mirrors. So this is actually green screen. It turns blue when I go all the way down. So anyway, you guys take care. Have a good night. End the broadcast. Thank you.